Hi guys, welcome back to the 22 Teachings channel. I have a really exciting announcement for you guys today, and that is that my new website is up, and that is 22teachings.com. So there's a ton of resources on there already. I'm continuing to add to that every day, but you're going to be able to find a lot of tarot and astrology lessons on there to deepen your study. You're also going to find special rituals that I've written, and a lot of these things have been created for my students, but I've put them on there to share with you guys. You're also going to find a lot more information about if you want to come take live classes with me here in Los Angeles, or if you want to take my online classes on HOI TV. So go over to 22teachings.com if you want to read a lot more, see a lot more, watch a lot more. And I also have some podcasts that I've been a guest on over there too. So everything is now all in one place. But today we are going to talk about a couple different things. We are going to do an unboxing, and I am not thinking this is a tarot. I think these are cards, but I have had this box since January of 2017, so no time like the present to open that. And I also want to talk about this upcoming Mercury Retrograde. So Mercury Retrograde is one of those kind of fad astrology catchphrasey kind of things that has just become really popular in terms of people basically making it as an excuse for why everything goes wrong. And you guys can look up other people's opinions of what to do or not do during a Mercury retrograde, but I want to give you just my sort of take on that, what it is that you can do to prepare yourself for this period, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and it's going to boil down to one thing. This is not a time to be feeding the hype. You know, you don't want to put yourself in this place where you're just automatically assuming that everything's going to go wrong, that everything is chaos. If you don't know what Mercury retrograde is, it's basically a period when it looks like Mercury is moving backward in its orbit across the sky, and it's going to be happening from August 12th until September 5th. So it comes up about 3 to 4 times a year, and this is the period that we're moving into. Now, Mercury is the planet that deals with, corresponds to, and has an influence on things like communication. Remember, Mercury was the messenger of the gods, so that's where we get the correspondence of communication and language and how we talk to each other. And it also oversees travel, meaning your car, everything from that to also your tools that you would use to communicate, meaning your computer, your phone, you know, all of these kind of things, even snail mail. So it is not uncommon during a period of Mercury retrograde to find snags in these areas, and to find that it can be miscommunications happen more frequently. Messages don't go through, you can't get online. So if we know that there can be an effect, again, this always goes back to this idea of as above, so below. As things are kind of moving backwards, at least appearing to move backwards above us, so it can seem like things are kind of moving in the wrong direction down here in our reality as well. Well, one thing for you guys to remember is that this is a totally natural part of the cycle. This isn't that all of a sudden the cycle's thrown off. And if you can approach this from an attitude of, if it's a part of the cycle, that means it's meant to be. And maybe there are things that this is actually useful for, that it's not just going to be something that's a pain in the butt. So I do want to go ahead and start opening this box and see what's in here. I will say that the number one thing that I suggest during the period of Mercury retrograde is the 5-minute rule, which means leave 5 minutes extra for anything and everything that you need to do. If you know that there could potentially be delays in travel and communication, then if you took the time to just say, you know what, if I know that potentially that could be the case, I'm gonna leave 5 minutes earlier for work every day. Or if I have a meeting with someone, I'm going to plan to be there 5 minutes ahead so that you can allow for any potential snags or delays. That's the way to use astrology, not to let the thing already happen and then blame the fact that you were late on Mercury retrograde, or to blame, well, it was the full moon and so therefore, you know, I'm super emotional. No, you know ahead of time that the full moon is going to happen. You know ahead of time that Mercury is going to be in retrograde. So instead of doing nothing and then using it as an excuse, instead prepare yourself. If you can look at it and say, I know that this is coming up, I'm going to allow a little more time, then you're going to be fine. And then you're actually going to not have to get into a lot of the delays that are going to be a part of people's life who don't prepare. That's called being a magician, you know, being the chess master, not being the pawn. As you deepen your magical practice, as you deepen your understanding of esoteric things, you deepen your connection with the cycles of the earth and the cycles of the planet. You have more knowledge, and therefore you can actually make the appropriate adjustments now so that you don't find yourself in the pit of Mercury retrograde chaos. Let's see what's in this box. It is definitely a larger box than I would see for a tarot deck. And I remember that this is something that came from eBay. Let's see where this came from. Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Okay. So, I've got something wrapped up here. And lo and behold, this is a tarot. I'm seeing the word tarot through the packaging here. I guess I was wrong. It is a tarot. I totally thought this was going to be something else. It says the Astral Tarot, and I think what this is like a cool old retro, an old deck. Well, I guess it's not retro. It'd be retro if it was new but trying to look old, right? This is actually an old deck. So they did a really good job wrapping it, that's for sure. Now, let's talk about some of the things that are and are not good to do around this Mercury retrograde. So as I already said, the 5-minute rule, that goes across the board. So for anything that you have planned, just add 5 minutes on and you are going to be golden. But one thing that I hear a lot is that Mercury retrograde is not a good time to make decisions, and I'm sorry, but we have to live our lives. Decisions need to be made. We can't put off all of our decision making for weeks. Now, that doesn't mean that you necessarily want to make the biggest, most life-changing decisions, but I don't think that you need to be in fear of, oh, I'm just going to sit on my hands and not decide to do anything for weeks. No, you can feel okay to make decisions, and if you have the ability to postpone any major life-changing decisions, sure, you could do that, but the important thing is to use common sense and not get paranoid about it. Okay, here's what I see, the Astral Tarot. You can see this is definitely, I want to say this is from the 70s. I'll see if I can try to find a date on here. Oh, 1969 is the copyright by Mont St. John's. Key to the Subconscious. Mystic Secret of the Tarot reveals past, present, future. Authentic tarot deck, complete with instruction book. You know, it wasn't that much prior to the 70s that tarot decks were even really introduced to the United States. So in this time, you can imagine that people were starting to get kind of into things, and there's quite a few decks that emerged in the 70s. So the first thing that I see as I open this is this book, The Secret of the Tarot. Okay, let's take a look. It's just kind of a little booklet. It's actually in really good condition. So we see a description of each card. Let's do a bibliomancy. That means we just point and we read what we get. 7 of Wands. I think we talked about 7 of Wands recently. It says, on the defensive. Querent's position. How do you say that word? Querent? You guys have seen this. It's Q-U-E-R-E-N-T. I guess you pronounce that querent. It's the person asking the question. The querent's position is challenged. but eventual success is indicated. Avoid emphasizing the negative. You guys, that's exactly what I just said, right? Avoid emphasizing the negative. Yes, for Mercury retrograde, bibliomancy, aka magic is real. Then there's also a reverse definition. Failure to act causes loss. Well, that's very telling, isn't it? So when you get these situations like Mercury retrograde, stop perpetuating the negative, because guess what? You're gonna manifest it. You know that? What you focus on, what you put your thoughts on, you guys know this, called law of attraction. And if you focus on the chaos, if you focus on the fear and the everything's gonna fall apart, then it's gonna fall apart. If you focus on, you know what, I know that this is maybe gonna be a little bit of a trying time, so I'm gonna get ahead of it and not be steamrolled by it. So what that means is that there can be some other good things that you can do during this time. You can use this as a retroactive way to clear up some stuff of your past. You might actually find that during Mercury retrograde, you can actually go back and bury some hatchets that you might have with some people. If there was something that's been frustrating to you or some kind of miscommunication that happened in the past, during a retrograde period, you can actually look back and at least have some deeper understanding for yourself with that. So let's go ahead and see what these cards look like. Here's the front. It's kind of an interesting, or the back rather. It's kind of interesting. It's like you're looking through this screen. It almost looks like you're looking through a viewfinder. Maybe you're trying to look into the subconscious, right? So here are the cards, and I'm just going to kind of go through them for you guys. Seven of Pentacles. You can see they're just hand drawn. There's the 9. Okay, let's look at some of the major cards. Well, here's some court cards. There's the Page of Wands. Now, what you're going to notice about this deck, I remember seeing this. What it looks like is that this person started, see how this is all this one single line? I have a feeling, and I'm just making a guess here, that what this person did was when they were creating this tarot deck, they just put the pen down and sort of did a doodle. You guys have done this before, I bet, you know, if you're artistically inclined at all, where you do a doodle and then you make it in, you fill in all the details and you make it into something. Doesn't it look like that was kind of the inspiration for this? Because you see this one continuous shape here. That's pretty cool. There's the Ace of Wands. So you can see this is one of these styles of decks where they call these the pip cards or the minor arcana. 3 of Wands is just 3 wands. Let's go ahead and look at some of the majors. So I will say what is not a good thing to do during Mercury retrograde is to try and have difficult conversations. Yes, you could actually clear up some old misunderstandings of the past, but it's probably not a good idea to bring up that thing you've been meaning to talk about with someone where you know that it might kind of hit a nerve. It's not necessarily going to be the best time to get things off your chest and think that they're going to have like a really good result. For those kind of situations, probably better to wait. You know, if you have somebody that you've been estranged from and you haven't spoken to them in a long time, if there's an issue, if you know that you need to like address something and it might not be, you know, not to bury the hatchet, but actually to kind of voice your opinion on something that they might not be ready to hear. I don't know if I would do it during a Mercury retrograde time. At the same time, you know, you don't want to let this stuff so dictate what's going on in your life that you feel like your hands are tied. You still got to do what you need to do. This is the Justice card. These are kind of cool and weird and funky, right? I mean, realistically, do I see myself using these cards to do a reading? Probably not. You know, I got this deck more because of its just sort of its weird artwork, and I thought it was really unique and probably not something that most people have seen before. Also, the way that these cards are cut, they're sharp on the edges. They don't have the rounded corners. I'm not exactly sure how easy it would be to shuffle these, but I'll give it a try here in a minute. There's Temperance. So the Devil, I think that they're kind of cool. There's another tarot deck from around the same time period. It's called the New Tarot, and it was by a guy, Huxley, I believe is the name. I could be wrong. But it's this similar kind of black and white pen and ink sort of drawings. This very much reminds me of that. That's a cool star there with some sacred geometry. So you see a little bit of an inspiration for some of these that seems kind of familiar. And I also wonder, you know, how this person created this. Maybe they thought about the card and then drew the picture, or maybe they just drew all the pictures, the lines, and then felt, you know, which one makes more sense with which card. Oh, that's kind of a cool world. So the way that I would use a deck like this would be more for a single card draw, maybe for to put a single card, something I want to focus on my altar. There's the Fool. They're just really different. I kind of like them. You know, I think they're different. I think they're weird. They're probably hard to find. These are in actually like perfect conditions. That's the Knight of Cups. There's the Queen of Cups. So yeah, definitely like a cool, funky deck. I don't know, maybe I would do a reading with these. You know, sometimes when people come to see me to get a reading, I like to just put a few different decks on the table and ask the person, which one do you want me to read for you with? So that is the Astral Tarot. Should we do one more? Let's draw one more card, and let's just go ahead and see what the book says this time. I'll give you guys my idea of what the card means, and then we'll go ahead and see what the book says. So I'm going to see how easy these are to shuffle. Oh, they shuffle super easily. They're not super hard cardstock, but they actually shuffle pretty easily. You can get a sense of how thick the cardstock is by just seeing how thick the deck is, and this seems a little bit thinner than a standard deck of cards. All right, so let's think about a message that will be helpful for us moving forward into this period of Mercury retrograde. Something we need to focus on, something we need to consider. I'm going to cut with my receptive hand, and the card that I'm pulling is, the Star. We just looked at this one. Okay, the Star is the card of guidance. It's this card of seeing the signs. If you want to know more about seeing signs, then watch my last video about coincidences and seeing signs. But it's being able to observe the little things throughout your day along the way. You know, I was actually driving today back over from Santa Monica, and I saw on the top of a car, it had the numbers 858. So I quickly added those in my head. That equals 21. And then reducing that down, 2 plus 1 equals 3. It just so happened that at the point that we were driving, we were listening to one of the teachers' shows on HOI TV, and it's a chant and an invocation for Elegba, the road opener. And the number of Elegba or Elegua is the number 3. So it's just one of those little signs, one of those little things that was like a little nod from the universe to me that, yes, you're right where you're supposed to be moving forward. So let's see what the books has to say about the Star. So I would take this as, during this period of Mercury retrograde, don't forget to pay attention to the signs that are all around us. Even when you feel frustrated, even when you feel there are some miscommunications, or even when you feel like, why are things breaking down? Why is communication breaking down? Stop, take a deep breath, center in yourself, and ask, just show me a sign. There's a reason for everything, and there's a reason for forward motion, and there's a reason for retrograde motion as well. Here we go. The Star, the 17th key. Inspiration, good health, will follow ill. This card predicts contact with a person who will bring a new way of life. That's interesting. Let's talk about this for 1 second. Good health will follow ill. That's a really good thing for you to consider during this period, because you have to think, okay, if something does go awry, it's not going to be that way forever. You're going to move through it, and you're going to move forward, and something good will follow. And in the deck of cards, the Star card, which is a beautiful card, follows one of the most difficult cards, which is the Tower. The Tower is basically where everything smashes and falls apart, right? So as all of that falls, as the structures in your life seem like they're falling over, in time the dust settles. And when it does, you look up into the sky, you ask for a sign, and the first thing you see is the glimmer of hope, the silver lining, and that is the star. So it is the good thing that follows the seeming tragedy. And that's a great message for what we can focus on and what we consider, and just to not let ourselves feed our anxiety, feed our fear, or feed our stress. The more we know, the more we have knowledge of ourselves, the more we have knowledge of the world around us, the more we can prepare ourselves, the more that we can get, as I said, ahead of these kind of things instead of being bowled under by them. And the more that we can make the choices and navigate our life in order to get to our goals the way that we want to, in order to get the outcomes that we want. So I hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope you found this helpful. I'd love it if you guys haven't already to please subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to go over to 22teachings.com and check that out. And as I said, I'll be adding new content there all the time, but there's tons up there already for you guys to explore. If you're in Los Angeles, come visit me at House of Intuition. And if you can't make it, but you still want to study with me, you can still get that really, really cheap, discounted summer special on HOI TV. It's only $9.99 a month right now. So it will be the best money you ever spent, because you're going to get so much content for that. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.